welcome to a very special Halloween edition of No Doy Ralph with me, Brandt, and as always joining me is Allegra.
Hi, Allegra.
Did you say hi and then your name?
Yes.
So, if you're listening to this when it first drops, Halloween is tomorrow. So it is Halloween Eve. And so Allegra and I have decided to take this whole episode and devote it to all things Halloween.
All Hallows Eve.
Which originally was called All Hallows Eve?
Yeah, kind of.
All right, so Allegra has been, let's start off with that. Give us some history.
Okay.
Lay it down.
All right, well, this is just obviously from the internet, but I just wanted to pick, I'm not going to read the whole history. This is more of kind of Seventh-day Adventist report about it, but it's also just kind of Encyclopedia Britannica type stuff. But anyway, so going back, I mean, anybody else could do this. I just wanted to read a couple things that I thought were kind of adorable and interesting. And, well, not adorable, but it made me laugh. So All Saints' Day, the name of Halloween derives from the Roman Catholic holiday All Saints' Day, the Feast of All Saints, or All Hallows' Day. Hallow means to make holy or consider something sacred, celebrated on November 1st. All Saints' Day commemorates the saints who have not been assigned a special day in the calendar of the Roman Catholic Church. And some of you may know this. Most people don't know this, but it's starting to come out of the cracks and shadows of lore that the Roman Catholic Church is basically a vessel for Satan. Not to be sacrilegious, because I know a lot of Catholics would find this
No, don't stop.
very terrible. But
right, what's happening right now is Redbone is stumped on how to get past the computer cord. It's like it's a fence. She wants to step over it, but she's nervous. She wants to go under it, but she's nervous. So she just is standing there while it's like 6 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we could keep her. We could keep her in. Nope. You have to go the other way. Go the other way. All right.
Anyway, so not to get too into
So when you
that,
say before, so All Saints' Day is akin to President's Day. Like, you have Washington Day and Lincoln Day. And then President's Day is for all the other ones that don't. She just laid down. She gave up.
Yeah.
And then President's Day is just for everybody else. So All Saints' Day was for all the saints that didn't have their own days. Yeah,
that's a good analogy, I think.
Right.
According to this, if it's true. So, but going back to what...
It's on the internet, it's true.
Yeah. So going back to what some people might think of me saying is sacrilegious, but there are some people coming out of the shadows who are implicating the Catholic Church as being synonymous with Satan.
What?
And, yeah. So you can look into that yourself. I'm not going to get into that so much. I knew a bunch of people who are very interested in the Pope and Catholicism, or the Catholic Church, and the Jesuits and all of that. Being behind, it kind of goes with whole New World Order, conspiracy type stuff, but some people would say that. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into it, but the Roman Catholic Church, the day before All Saints' Day was called All Hallows Eve, from which Halloween is derived. So, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, the origin of Halloween goes back to a festival of the Druids, an order of pagan priests in ancient Gaul and Britain in pre-Christian times. In ancient Britain and Ireland, the Celtic festival of Samhain, it's spelled Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain, was observed on October 31st at the end of summer. So, skipping ahead, there's more information, but...
October 31st is the end of summer?
According to this.
Back then?
Yeah. And if you think about it, like in Britain and Ireland, it's colder and all that. So, so the Celtic festival of Samhain, which signaled the commencement of winter, consisted of the eve of the feast and the day itself, October 31st and November 1st. It remained popular among the Celtic people even after the Christianization of Great Britain in the 5th century. The Christian Church in Britain adapted the feast of Samhain by adding the Christian celebration of All Saints' Day to the festival. Until the 8th century, the Feast of All Saints was celebrated on May 13th. It seems that because the British custom to celebrate All Saints' Day on November 1st had spread to other countries, Pope Gregory IV, which was around 827 to 844, transferred the feast of May 13th to November 1st. So, skipping ahead.
So that seems similar to the story that...
Of Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas was originally some other time, and there was a pagan holiday, what is now celebrated as Christmas, and so the Catholics moved the day. Okay.
Right.
All right. So Halloween,
well,
what we call Halloween used to be back in the spring. And, okay, so now it's...
Yeah, so going through... so the customs of the Samhain survived in the Celtic areas of Great Britain, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. In time, they lost much of their religious significance, and the Eve of All Hallows' Day became a secular festival, although many traditionally Celtic ideas continued to be associated with the evening. Divination activities remained a popular practice. Adults, dressed in fantastic disguises and masks, imitated supernatural beings and visited homes where occupants would offer tributes of food and drink to them. Irish and Scottish immigrants introduced All Hallows' Eve observances.
All right, say that again, because you're reading. Who would offer food and drink to who?
Although many traditionally Celtic...
No, just tell me.
Adults dressed in fantastic disguises
would go to other people's houses?
Yeah, and get food and drink.
Okay.
So it was an adult holiday.
And this is to celebrate... This is celebrating that same feast day.
Yeah, but it's a more secular kind of fun. It sounds like it's more of a fun excuse to party in this time.
I wonder how they would decide who would stay home and who would get dressed up.
Oh, yeah.
Because now that's kind of solved with either you invite people to your house for a party or kids just go, you know.
Well, it's probably the same. Not everybody does it. Probably not everybody celebrated it. And so the people who did stayed home, or went out and did it, and the people who didn't just stayed home.
Okay.
Irish and Scottish immigrants introduced All Hallows' Eve observances to America, and after the massive immigration of the Irish...
Irish people.
...to the United States during the potato famine, Halloween became a national festival. The custom for children to go trick-or-treating from door to door also goes back to the ancient Druid priests. This is my favorite part. Who would go from house to house demanding... Or no, the next one is my favorite, but this introduces it. So the ancient Druid priests would go from house to house demanding food for their own consumption as well as for offerings to their deities.
I demand food for my own consumption!
And for deities. If the people in a home would not provide them with food, they would speak a demonic curse over the home, and history claims someone in the family would die within the year.
Ooh.
And then I love this part. The Druids would carry with them a large turnip, which they had hollowed out on the inside and carved a face on the front to represent the demonic spirit they depended upon for their power. And that later translated over to us using pumpkins. But I wish it weren't a demonic or represented a demonic thing. I love the idea of a little turnip being on a stick with a carved...
You just take it to people's houses and say...
I just want to use a turnip as a lantern. I just want to walk through the woods and have a turnip
That would be so creepy. That'd be so creepy if you were out in the woods with your friends. Like, man, if we could find some high school kids around here that were, like, partying, like, out in the backwoods, like one used to do back in the day, and then they would just see this, like, person with a stick and a lantern with a candle inside walking through the forest.
Yeah.
That'd be creepy.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's kind of the synopsis of that. I didn't really read too much into that.
Then
I didn't want to read too much.
Evolved through time.
Yeah, so this practice
So it was originally an adult holiday.
Yeah.
And somewhere down the line, it became more for children.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I feel like in the last... Like, since we were kids, it started becoming, again, for adults as well. And I think right now we live in a time where it's definitely... not just a child's holiday anymore.
Right.
I think probably in the 50s, 60s, and maybe even the 70s, it wasn't necessarily an adult holiday.
Oh yeah, I feel like more and more adults are all about All Hallows Eve now. It's kind of strange, but...
So now Halloween is an excuse for kids to dress up like Iron Man or the girl from Frozen, and adults to dress up like hoes and pimps.
Or demons. I'm very torn because I love dressing up in costumes, but Halloween for me is one of those strange holidays. I don't really like to do Halloween too much, especially you and I kind of decided
this year.
I mean,
before we were going to. I mean, months ago we were talking about like how we were going to hit China City because you went last year. Because
there's an awesome dance party there.
Last year I was at work and you went to China City by yourself, and you had an awesome costume, which is now your Facebook profile at the moment, which is super badass, and it sounded fun. And me being on the boat when you told me about it the next day and all the people you saw, I was very jealous.
Yeah,
and
it was fun.
A little homesick.
But it would have been better if you were there because I couldn't dirty dance by myself.
But then it seems like, well, I think the biggest thing that kind of brought that down was your art show last week and all the time and effort you put into that. Mm-hmm. And now it would only give us a couple days. It would have only given us a couple days to decide what we wanted. Because I have only been back a week and a half.
Throat burp.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
We went to the tap room. We went to the tap room after lunch.
We had Aaron. We had pho we went pho lunch, had pho, and went to the tap room and had a couple beers.
So, but and earlier this year we were talking about the different outfits we could do, like Daredevil and Elektra, or the Dragon Princess and her super hunky man from Game of Thrones,
which Brandt looks just like him.
Just like him. Mm-hmm. Just put some mascara on my eyes and you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. Mm-hmm. But as it turns out, you're just kind of, I think, emotionally and creatively spent from the art show, and it just doesn't feel like we have a lot of time.
Yeah, and I would want to make a fantastic costume, and I don't want to be out at night driving with all these people, and I just... I kind of like dressing up in costumes when it's not Halloween, when people aren't expecting it.
And they're like, what? Yeah. And the other thing is, like last year when you were telling me about all the people that you saw, and I got jealous, since then, we've had our reunion. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people, so...
Right. Yeah. But they do throw down. They play really good house music and, like, hip-hop and...
Instead, we're going to be super adultish and during the day go drink wine at a wine place. And
wait, when's Halloween?
Tomorrow, Saturday.
Tomorrow? Wait. Oh. Okay. I don't even know what date it is today. So, okay.
So, yeah. We said we were going to meet up with Aaron and go drink some wine.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and go home and...
and go home and
watch Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
Which we're catching up on now. We're only on season 5. Because we have to rely on Netflix.
Right. So we're always a season behind everybody else. Mm-hmm. So, so you talking about... We're going to play a little game.
Yes.
A little game. I'm going to look up the top 5 children's costumes for 2015. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask Siri to find it for me.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to guess number 1 is...
Hold on, you have to stop talking because Siri gets confused.
Oh, okay. That's really good podcasting.
It is. Siri... Let's see. No, she's done.
What kind of businesses are you looking for?
Siri... Look up the top 5 children's costumes for 2015. This. Watch, she's going to do it.
Here's what I found on the web for Siri. Look up the top 5 children's costumes for 2015.
Brandt's starting to fall in love with his Siri.
It's not like the movie Her. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to go to HalloweenPress.com. They seem like they know what they're doing.
Well, that was the first one.
Again, that was the first one that popped up. You would think that we're such professional podcasters that we would have had this already up and running. But of course not. So while it's loading, give some ideas.
Yeah, so...
These are children.
This will be... while this is loading, I just want to give a little shout out to our lovely Julie, who is always so sweet and sends us call-in files, basically. She's like a call-in for the podcast, and we'll address your lovely comments next round. Brandt's been gone for a long time, and so this is our first podcast coming back. But we would love to have those of you who listen send us audio files. If you ever want to record, if you have an iPhone or a device where you can record just some questions and send them to us, we would love that. If you email us at ravenowlpath@gmail.com. That's ravenowlpath, P as in Papa, A as in Alpha, T as in Tango, H as in Hotel, like a path that you walk on. ravenowlpath@gmail.
All one word, all lowercase.
All one word, all lowercase. If you email us a question, or if you, you can just send us a question, or if you want your voice, if you want us to record your voice, send us a question on an audio file, and we will address it.
Yes, and we will get to...
We want callers.
We will get to Julie's next week.
Yeah.
We just decided to do a special Halloween one this week. All right, so I've got the top 10 children's.
Okay.
I've seen a couple of them, but let's think. Can you even name 10?
Elsa.
Who's
Elsa
that?
from Frozen.
Okay, Elsa.
I think that's probably... And then after that, I don't know any kids stuff.
We have to think, like, what came out this year. Like, I would say...
Despicable Me?
Despicable Me did. Oh, the Minions are huge.
Or Minions.
The Minions are huge. We had Marvel... Mm-hmm. What Marvel movies came out?
Captain America and the girl...
Black Widow. Do you think little girls want to be Black Widow?
Probably.
Badass girls want to be Black Widow. Let's just say Marvel characters.
Yeah.
That's probably going to take up a couple. Because there was also, there was the Avengers and there was Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, Ant-Man. Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet.
Is it still in theaters? I don't think so. Dang it.
Yeah.
Maybe...
I've been looking at the red boxes. It's not in that either. We might have to just rent it off of Amazon or something.
So, yeah.
Well, that's at least 3.
Let's check those.
Okay. So... starting with 10 and moving...
And if you're listening and you're better than us, you can guess, and then we'll...
Alright, so number 1, Halo Master Chief costume. Is that Chief or Chef? That must be Chief.
Is it from the video game?
Yeah, Halo is Xbox.
Okay.
I didn't know that was still popular.
I don't know anything about Halo.
Okay.
Or video games.
Number 9, the Rogue Pirate Child costume. This cute buccaneer is ready to rock the 7 seas. It's a girl, it's a blonde-haired girl...
It's just a pirate. Who cares?
No, it's a pirate.
Anything
that
other
makes sense.
people know about?
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Okay. Number 6, the cozy bat costume.
That's just another generic.
It's just a fuzzy bat.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda Link.
Oh,
what?
That's kind of cool. So Link from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Cinderella.
Cinderella is still...
well, they're making a Cinderella live-action movie.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there's the buzz on that. What is that? Big Hero 6 Red Baymax inflatable costume.
I remember seeing the ads for that.
That's a computer movie, right?
I think so.
A computer movie. Yeah.
CGI?
Yeah. Yeah, like a Pixar movie, I think. Or
a computer
Disney.
movie.
Inside Out, also a animated film. Joy. Ant-Man is number 2.
Oh, nice.
And number 1. Okay, so we had... Marvel has been hit. Elsa hasn't been, and the Minions. So number 1. Do you think
we have not looked at this yet?
Do you think it's Elsa or the Minions or none of the above?
Well, Elsa was more last year, but I still think people are going crazy.
And number 1 costume, Elsa. Despicable Me Minion costume. And it's a girl.
Gru.
Yeah. Gru can't rule the world without his little helpers. Gru must be the dude.
Urkel Gru.
I saw Despicable Me, the first one. It was very cute. It's about like adopted girls. Alright, so now we're going to go... We have all these different top 10 kids, top 10 teen, top 10 toddler, top 10 baby, top 10 sexy.
Adult. Or
not adult.
Couples. Do a couples.
Okay.
Yeah, just do the couples. That would be good. Pet would be cute too, but let's do couples. So,
all right.
Well,
I don't know how to judge this. Well, I'm seeing some of them. Okay. So,
I haven't seen any.
Top 10. Here's the 10th. Tooth Fairy and Tooth.
That pig.
Which is a pig.
It's a pig face.
It looks like the pig from
American Horror Story.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, the pig man. from
Was that
American
in?
Horror, yeah.
Is that what? But American
But
Horror Story is like 3 years
episode.
ago.
That was the first episode.
Yeah.
It's a pigman face.
Yeah, it's just a pigman face called Tooth Fairy. Number 9, Shrek and Fiona. This can't be right.
No.
These pictures
that
don't
must
match
be Tooth Fairy. That must be Pigman.
Salt and Pepper,
no.
Day of the Dead, Cinderella.
The names are wrong.
The pictures don't match. Well,
Super Mario
does.
matches. Okay. Okay, the names are ridiculous, so who cares? This is horrible.
Yeah, that was
Never
bad.
mind. Sorry. Those aren't even couples. Those aren't even couples.
Well, Shrek and Fiona was a
I'm
couple.
going to look it up on this because this is ridiculous.
Okay, while you do that, we'll see if the people that do call in, see if they can guess this song. Oh, what happened? Ooh.
This is a horrible podcast.
No, it's not. It's great.
So Halloween Couples Costumes 2015.
But don't go to Halloween store. All right, that's all I'm going to give you. If you know the answer to that, email us or send in a audio. That's us. That's what we were going to be. The first picture that comes up in the news.
Yeah. So I'm glad we didn't do that. There's one...
Okay, so if you're listening at home, you're on your way to work, you're on your commute, you're thinking of, what do you think are some top adult? I think we were right. I think probably something from Game of Thrones, although I've only seen the first 2 seasons. What else is popular adulty?
So we have to go to the stupid Huffington Post. Sorry, I hate the Huffington Post.
Ooh, that's going to be controversial.
Whatever. Go to hell.
Sure. Go to hell. These are just ideas, though. These aren't the top ones.
And this is Canada. Should I do Canada?
Yeah.
Let's do Canada.
Canadians are awesome.
Huffington Post Canada. So the top Halloween costume ideas for 2015. We'll see what they do up there. And God, you're having crazy throat burps.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of personal. So anyway, this is taking forever. So they're on Pinterest. So let's do movies. My favorite scary movie is
Wait, quit.
Because it's
quit.
taking too
It doesn't
long.
matter. I can cut it.
Oh my god.
We're not just going to jump around.
Fine. Okay. So I'm just gonna let this load. Yeah, I forgot you can cut it, so you can cut this part.
And I'm the host. You don't bring in new sections. I do. You're my off the wall sidekick that adds zany comedy and mystery.
And mystery?
Yes.
Alright, well, this is not loading. Super annoying. Jasmine and Aladdin, I'm sure. Austin Powers and Felicity Shagwell. I don't know how to pronounce Daenerys and Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones.
That was a good one. Mario and Princess Peach. Man, these are some retro things are coming back, like Legend of Zelda.
Netflix
Link.
and chill.
Who?
I don't know. We're so out of it. Caveman and Cavewoman.
Why aren't there any pictures, though?
This one has pictures.
See, these are just ideas. They're not the top ones.
They're the top ones in Canada. Spock and Uhura from Star Trek.
That is cute.
Peter Pan and Wendy.
That is...
Barbie and Ken. That's lame. Sandy and Danny from Grease. Lois Lane and Superman.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Those pictures are ridiculous.
Batman and Robin. Lucy and Desi from I Love Lucy. Dorothy and Lion from The Wizard of Oz.
Dorothy and Lion? Why Lion?
They're
Why not the
making
Tin
out.
Man or the Scarecrow?
Morticia.
I would say... You're going too fast. I would say... Wouldn't you say the Scarecrow and Dorothy are more of a couple than the Lion
I
and
always
Dorothy?
wanted Dorothy and the Tin Man to bang when I was little, but as I got older, I think I just
Why
thought they
bang?
all
Why couldn't they just date?
banged.
Sure. As they got older, they just thought... But, okay, let's start... But what would be a better couple?
Well, I mean, Dorothy and the Lion.
Why?
Works
Because she's into
just-
furries?
Yeah,
It's a whole culture.
the bear culture.
People being into furries.
I'm into a semi-furry.
You are? What does that mean?
Your face is furry.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Mail order bride and the mailman.
Yeah.
See, I don't believe that these are top anything. These are just pictures.
Well, they're Canadians. They do things.
They don't have top 10s because they don't want winners and losers.
Ace Ventura and Snowflake, the dolphin. Russell and Carl from Up. Slash and Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses.
They're not couples.
Fred and William. Yeah, but you can... Fred and Wilma Flintstone. But you could make them... you and I as a couple could go as Pizza and Pizza Delivery Boy.
Lame.
Super lame.
Hamburglar and Hamburger. I mean, it's kind of clever.
Okay, after this, I'm doing the American one. This is Canadian.
Who is that?
Birds and Bees.
Oh.
And that's the girl from Full House.
No, it's not.
Looks like... Or one of the twin...
I'm sure you thought that was an
Olsen
Olsen?
twin?
No, it's not.
Bunny and Carrot. So
Okay.
someone dresses up as a bunny and somebody dresses up as a carrot. Little Red Riding Hood and Big Bad Wolf.
That's a fantasy for people.
Margot and Richie Tenenbaum from the Royal Tenenbaums. That's so highfalutin. Okay. Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World. You'd have to be like, what are you guys? Obviously, we're from the Royal Tenenbaums.
That movie has, like, a serious... Like, there are serious followers of that movie.
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
From
It
Dr.
just sounds,
Seuss.
It sounds pretentious to me.
Yeah. Well, I think if you
gonna
are
go
in-depth fan of the Royal Tenenbaums, by definition, you have to be a little bit pretentious.
Yeah.
See, no, that's 30. That's 30. You want top? Did you type in the top?
Yes, I did. Look at that. So, Pop Sugar, do you want me to go there?
No, I want top. Top Halloween adult costumes. Take out couples. Just look up adults. Google's top most popular Halloween costume searches. Alright, that's good. What's wrong?
Just, you're going to have to do a lot of cutting.
Fine.
I hope you're alright with that.
I'm fine with it. I'm just going to say that I will and then I won't.
The dead era is boring.
Well, looking at pictures online is boring. I can't see the same pictures as you.
Well, okay. So fine. Top Google's most 10 popular Halloween costume searches. So this way, this saves you as a listener way more time from looking it up on your own.
Yeah.
You can just listen to this and
Because nobody does look them up, so now as they're listening, they can play along and try to guess.
Okay, the most popular Halloween costume this year, according to Google Trends, is Harley Quinn, who will be seen in 2016 Suicide Squad.
Nice, that's a good choice.
Yeah. All right.
Harley Quinn, for those of you that don't know, is kind of the Joker's girlfriend, although the Joker never really has a steady girlfriend, but she adores the Joker, thinks that he is, he's the bee's knees, and tries to do things to impress him. She was created for the Batman animated series back in the 90s.
Yeah. Okay, the next one, Star Wars, is Harley.
Oh.
Come here.
Harley Quinn was the first one.
Oh, whoops. I forget her name. Oh, The Force Awakens.
Characters from The Force Awakens.
Okay, so yeah, the new Star Wars movie.
So far there are 2 characters from 2 movies that haven't come out yet.
Right. Well, people want to be ahead of everybody else. Superman. Or Spider-Man, sorry.
Yes.
The next one is Spider-Man. That's number 3.
Captain Jack Sparrow. I feel like that's probably been in the top 10 for a decade.
Yeah. Batman.
Yeah, it's probably, again, in the top 10 for a decade.
But Batman has always been a popular costume, and the upcoming Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice has kept the Caped Crusader in the public eye.
So far all the adult ones have been movies.
Minnie Mouse, not Mickey.
Minnie Mouse.
Oops. I think I just got an ad. Anyway, that's Wizard of Oz. Oh, the Wicked Witches. Or both witches from The Wizard of Oz. It doesn't really say. It just says, it wouldn't be Halloween without a few wicked witches roaming the streets.
So if you're a bad girl, you can be the Wicked Witch of the West. Or East. Wicked Witch of the East?
Yeah.
Wicked Witch. The Minions, again.
Yeah, the Minions.
But adults are dressing up like the Minions?
I guess. Maybe they just put on goggles or something. The Joker, the new Joker with Jared Leto doing...
Is that how you say his last name?
Leto.
I always thought it was Leto, but...
Maybe it's Jared Leto.
Because he's French. Yeah! Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but that is not Wonder Woman.
That is today's Wonder Woman.
Bullshit.
She doesn't wear the red, white, and blue anymore.
Oh
my
God.
Because she doesn't stand...
Because people hate the United States so much.
Yeah, it's
so annoying.
Superman doesn't wear red, white, and blue either. He wears, like, almost black and red.
So, Wonder Woman, with her pinko commie new outfit.
Pinko commie.
Showing no American... You don't want that.
She has no allegiance to America.
No, that's...
Because she comes from her own island. Why would she have allegiance to America? Superman is fine because he landed in Kansas and grew up as a Kansas boy. So it's even more blasphemous.
She came to America. No, she came to America helping the pilot.
Yes.
Remember, she found him on the beach, and then Linda Carter.
Yeah, Linda Carter.
Yeah, Linda Carter. And if you watch the series, the TV series, it's so funny. She finds him in paradise. She's on Paradise Island as an innocent, nubile, sexual being. And she's
surrounded by other nubile sexual beings that are all women.
Yeah, they're all women, and they're running around in their little nighties and playing with each other and just giggling. And then suddenly they see this pilot passed out on the beach, and Linda Carter is very worried, and she runs and picks him up, and then just starts sprinting down the beach, holding this man dummy. It's like,
super like 70s sped up camera, like.
Yeah, it's really funny. Anyway.
Yes, and then she gives up her homeland to go back and be his secretary, and then save him every episode.
Yeah.
And he never figures out that Wonder Woman and his secretary are the same woman.
Yep.
Because back then you could fool people by putting on a pair of glasses and putting your hair up.
Yep. Glasses just made you hideous. Once you took the glasses off and let your hair down, you
Wonder Woman
were amazing. So that's it.
So you're not as excited to see the Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice movie because Wonder Woman will be in it, but she won't be.
She's not wearing her costume the way that
red,
costume is so important. I had the underoos. That is an important costume, and to take that away is kind of annoying to me.
Supergirl just launched on TV, I think on CBS a couple nights ago, and it got huge ratings. And she's wearing red and blue. I don't know if there's any white.
Maybe I'll boycott the movie and watch like a ton of the episodes just to show
Supergirl.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah. Well, I'll go see it.
All right, so let's talk about going back to Halloween. Give me a memory you have from being a child.
Okay.
A Halloween, a 1980s Halloween story.
Okay. Yes, I have one. I grew up in the woods, and it was very scary growing up in the woods sometimes. I liked being in the woods a lot of the time, but sometimes it was really terrifying, especially when windstorms would come through and the trees sway and they can fall, and it's a very dangerous place to be during a windstorm. The power would go out. And we lived up a really, really long driveway, all uphill, and at night it was pitch black dark. You couldn't see anything. So, in 3rd grade...
it's still that way now.
Yes, it is.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah. But, in 3rd grade, I was invited to go trick-or-treating with a group of friends, and there was a mom driving us around a couple neighborhoods in the area to take us trick-or-treating. And then she was done and wanted to take us home, and so, fine. But she had driven up our driveway before, and it was slippery and muddy, and it wasn't a good driveway, and she refused to drive me up. And I remember her daughter, my friend, was like, "Mom, please, can you please drive her up?" And we're all just kind of sitting there, and my friends were like, "Oh my God, oh," all scared, and I was just sitting there kind of quietly, and I didn't want to argue and say, "No, can you please drive me up?" And I was like, "It's okay." And so After a few minutes of the mom was pissed. She was like, I am not driving up that driveway. I am not. I refuse.
Do you think like she didn't think about this until the very end of the night, or do you feel like the whole night she's like, that Rose girl showed up, I'm not driving her up that driveway?
It probably was something like that. So I got out and I walked up the driveway in the middle, or not middle of the night, but it was dark.
Well,
and
I mean, it's going to be daylight savings tomorrow night. Daylight savings happens.
Yeah.
Right now it is getting dark, and it is 5. So it is, it gets, by 5 o'clock, it's going to be...
It was at least 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so then it's pitch black. There's no difference between 7 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and for a 8-year-old girl, it was really scary. And I remember walking up, and I remember just focusing. I couldn't see anything. But I had gone up and down the driveway enough to kind of sense where I was going.
Yikes.
And I was hyperventulating.
Because there are like turns that you have to make. And
yeah, there's lots of turns, and... I was kind of hyperventilating, and I remember getting up to the house, and I could kind of see a light on inside, and I just ran inside and slammed the door, and was just like, like Sixth Sense little boy after he saw a dead person.
That is, I mean, if you sit back and you really think about what you just said, that is terrifying. Being out, not only in the dark, but it's Halloween. So you have all these images of like scary things anyways.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're in the forest and it is pitch black. And it's not like a 2-minute walk either. It's, if you're a child and you're walking up that hill, that's
probably a 10-minute.
Yeah, a good 7 to 10 minute walk.
Yeah. In
the dark in the forest.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really
that is horrible.
It really
affected
me.
What if you didn't see, this is such a different time that we live in now, because one, that would never happen. Hopefully an adult would never let a child, but if you disappeared, like, yeah, that would have been messed up.
Yeah.
Your parents would get a hold of her like a couple hours later and like, where's my daughter? Well, I dropped her off at the bottom of the road.
There should have been some coordination though, where my parents picked me up or something like that.
And that's probably what your friend's mom was thinking as well.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. But it was back in the day.
Do you remember what you were dressed up as?
No, I don't even remember my costume.
I have a couple of stories, so maybe as I'm telling mine, you might think of some more. But when I was kindergarten aged, and I feel like Empire Strikes Back had come out, and I thought that Han Solo was pretty badass, but still Luke Skywalker was the one that got to use a lightsaber. And when you're a kid, if you have the choice of using a lightsaber or a laser gun, the lightsaber pretty much wins every time. So I wanted to dress up. No, sorry, this is Return of the Jedi style, because I was wearing... Anyways, so we lived in a trailer park in North Dakota, and I wanted to be Luke Skywalker. And my best friend at the time, I don't even remember his name, but I remember that his mom had very big breasts and wore low-cut shirts and had a lot of makeup on, and she would give me a kiss on the cheek, and it would always leave like an imprint of lipstick. So that's not about Halloween. That's just something I remember about his mom.
That's your scary story.
No. I just, as I was telling the story, I remember that my friend's mom, even in kindergarten, she was titillating. Oh. So, anyways.
Well, you've been ready to have sex since you're about that age, so it makes sense.
I decided that for that Christmas I wanted to be Luke Skywalker, and I think my mom made me a black robe. Like that year I was all about Star Wars. My mom, for my birthday, which is a month later, because my birthday is 2 weeks after Halloween.
Friday the 13th this year. Yeah.
We're
gonna have fun.
She made me a cake, and she made the cake to look like the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, that's cute.
Yes, it's very sweet. But so anyways, so there's a picture of me. I had a lightsaber that was basically just like, people made millions of dollars off this, I'm sure. It was basically a flashlight with a plastic tube at the end that when you turned it on, lit the tube green because it was a green tube. Or if you had the Darth Vader one, it lit it pink. And they probably sold it for like $20.
Yeah.
And, but my mom made me a black robe, because that's what Luke Skywalker wears in the beginning of Return of the Jedi. And my hair was blonde when I was very, very young, and then it started turning brown. So by this point, my hair was pretty much brown. And my best friend had blonde hair. And his mom kind of threw a fit, saying, if anything, her son should be Luke Skywalker, and I should be Han Solo.
You should have gone on Jerry Springer if that was around, and had the kids fight it out.
Your son shouldn't be Luke Skywalker. My son should be Luke Skywalker. He don't even have blonde hair.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling very uncomfortable because I didn't want to be Han Solo. I wanted to be Luke Skywalker. I had the robe and I had the lightsaber. But I remember her making it very, very uncomfortable for me the whole time, just complaining like, my son, we can't have two Luke Skywalkers, but you should have been Han Solo.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That mom sounded stable.
I don't remember this, but I have photographic evidence of it, that one year I guess I wanted to be a pirate, but we didn't have, I assume, the money for the full pirate outfit. So in this photograph, my middle sister Kendra was dressed up as the Thing from the Fantastic Four. So she had one of those plastic masks with the rubber band of the Thing, and then she was wearing a orange sweatshirt, and my parents, or probably my mom, had taken black paint and just painted squares on it to make it look like bricks. So she was the Thing. My youngest sister Lindsay was a Care Bear, and she actually had it was the Care Bear mask with the Care Bear plastic thing that you put over.
Will you go to the store and buy the costume? It was like a plastic costume that came...
And the mask is on the top.
Yes!
And then the plastic... God. Yeah, and it's like a plastic poncho.
Yes.
That you put around. So there's a picture of my youngest sister being a Care Bear, and then my middle sister being The Thing. And then I was a pirate, and my pirate uniform was my Boy Scout uniform with my Boy Scout kerchief and my badges, a red bandana, and mascara drawn on my face, like a little beard, and that made me a pirate.
That's cute.
I didn't have a flowy blouse shirt or... You
didn't have a pirate shirt?
Boots. I just
pirate shirts weren't really a thing until Seinfeld.
I just wore my Boy Scout outfit.
That's funny. That's very cute. Well, we're creative.
I have two more. Just when I was in 5th grade... or 4th grade, was it 4th grade? I think it was 4th grade. When I was in 4th grade, I just moved here to Woodby Island, and I was living in Lakeview Terrace, which is a little community. And I wanted to be the Karate Kid. But, at first I was going to be a mummy, and we tried to wrap me up in, toilet paper and stuff, but that didn't, it just wouldn't hold. It was kind of sprinkling that night, and the toilet paper wouldn't last. So then I was like, and this is last second, it's getting dark, all the kids are starting to go trick-or-treating. So I wrapped a bandana around my head, and then I was Daniel-san, and I was the Karate Kid. And not even once, way more than 5 times, I would go to houses, and I was also taller than a lot of kids at that age, and they'd give candy to all the other kids, and they'd be like, what are you supposed to be? I'm like, I'm the Karate Kid. I'm like, I don't know. That's not a very good outfit. I just have just had a tie around my head that was supposed to be a bandana. No, they would, but it was begrudging. I felt really bad. And then the next year,
I'm sure you're a kid. How old were you?
I was in 4th grade.
Oh.
And then the next year,
your
Simon.
Costume, nah. Go on.
Simon,
get out of here.
Simon moved to Lakeview Terrace, and we were going to be the Blues Brothers. So we got hats and sunglasses and little blazers from the Good Cheer. And at the last second, we were kind of bummed that there's nothing scary about us. So we went to Casey's and bought a bunch of fake blood and just poured it all over each other and squirted it, and then we became the Blues Brothers zombie style.
Demons, or the zombies. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that was way more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember.
Remember any of your costumes?
Chelsea and I dressed up as Abbott and Costello one year, which is lame. It's not lame, but it was actually pretty funny. But
which one of you were the fat one?
I was the fat one.
You were.
Yeah, and Chelsea had a little Hitler mustache on and a top hat and suspenders. And
did people just think you were Germans?
And there's a picture of us. Me with pudgy face and had my
pudgy face, I'm
outfit
sure.
all stuffed. And then I remember one year, I don't know, my sister Minda and I went to the American Legion for a costume contest, and Minda did the Queen of Hearts, and she painted the front and back of her cardboard very intricately of the Queen of Hearts, and she
the card or the Alice in Wonderland?
The card.
Okay.
And so And she won. And
That's clever.
she won, I think, some money, and she won a Tinkerbell makeup kit, and like that was her.
Were you so jealous?
Oh yeah, super jealous. I was only like 4 or 5 years old, but her costume was awesome, and it was very creative and very well done for her age. So, and then yeah, I don't really remember what else. I just.
Do you remember how old did you? When did you stop trick or treating?
Trick or treating, probably. I mean that year that I had to walk up my driveway, I was kind of afraid to ever do it again.
That was 3rd grade?
Yeah. Oh. No, I'm sure I did it. No, I did it in 4th grade because I went with some people in Seattle, and I remember thinking that trick-or-treating in Seattle was way better than trick-or-treating. Although I trick-or-treated in Seattle in 2nd grade as well with some friends, so I don't know. Anyway.
Is that the lore where you get like the whole candy bars
And that was also when people were pushing this idea of make sure your parents check your candy because people will shove needles up in your candy bar. When you bite into it, you'll swallow a needle.
Do you feel like that was ever real?
I don't think so, but that was the thing. So
I feel like that's come out as being a hoax. It was started on the East Coast years and years.
Yeah,
like
but
in the 70s.
Still, you're getting candy from strangers. I'm checking it, and then also, like I would get a big bag of candy, and I knew I would just eat through the whole candy all in like one day, so my mom would keep my bag for me, and then after dinner at night I would get to choose some candies that I wanted.
Do you remember what a nightmare it was for our teachers the day after, or the first school day after Halloween? Because everybody would have their bag, like you would bring your bag of candy with you, because then sometimes you would trade.
Oh, I never did that.
Yeah, you'd bring and you'd trade with people on the bus, or you'd sit there and you could put it in your desk and then like open it up and shove candy in your mouth. And
my mom kept my bag. I was only allowed to access it after dinner.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember we used to, like, we'd come home and you'd have to pay the parent tax. You have to give your parents 10% of your candy.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that.
Well, but you got your candy taken away.
Yeah.
I'd rather give 10% of my candy than I could eat my candy whenever I wanted.
So when some relatives of mine that you know of, there's 3 siblings. Which one of the siblings do you think ate through their candy in one night?
Are we not supposed to say names?
Yeah. Well, one of them would eat through his candy in one night, while the other ones would still have their candy, and so he would be all sad. So as he got older, I think he got better at it and trying to savor it and trying to make it last longer.
I find that surprising because he's the oldest. As the oldest, I would save my Halloween candy until like Valentine's Day if I could, because the best feeling in the world is burning your sisters.
Oh my god.
And being like, hey, do you guys have any more candy? And they'd be like, no, and be like, boom.
Yeah.
I do.
I totally relate with that, because we would get these awesome a box of chocolates every Christmas, and they're called it's a French candy called petit fours. They're these layered mini petite cakes, and they're delicious. And as a kid, they were a dream, and we looked forward to every year getting a box of petit fours. And I would try so hard to keep mine as long as I could, but I couldn't help it. I would eat one, and then I would eat like a whole row, and then but Minda kept hers like weeks, and I would see, and I was like, oh my god, she's only eaten 2. How is this even possible?
You need to get all jealous.
Oh yeah, and I only had like one left. I only had like one left.
I do the same thing with dessert. Like, we'd go to a restaurant or something, and very rarely, but our parents would let us order dessert, and I would always order like cake or maybe a pie, but a pie that I could like, actually, can I get that to go? And then like eat it on the ferry or something, like. Just
what is it with kids sabotaging food as a burn? That's just like that's an instinctive thing to do, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a power play.
Yeah.
You like to show like, look how awesome I am.
Yeah, I can hold my rations longer than you.
The thing about it is, when it all boils down to it, is like, if my sisters were smarter, as a younger child, if you're listening to this and you're a younger child, the smarter thing to do is go like, awesome, you saved your dessert now and it's stale and gross. I ate mine when it was fresh and warm and came with ice cream. Burn on me for having fresh dessert. Not not having an Almond Joy that was given to me 7 months ago.
Oh, Almond Joy's so good. I love the Almond Joys.
So what do you think, what is the
And whatchamacallits.
What is the acceptable age? When should kids stop? Like, we don't have trick-or-treaters here because we live in the middle of the woods. But if we did, at what age would you not give somebody candy? Or like if 14-year-olds dressed up in really good costumes showed up, would you give them?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, sure. Why not? Because there are not really that many older teenagers who are actually going to go trick-or-treating. There's going to be a few, but who cares? Because
you go through that period, like you're either the kid that goes trick-or-treating, or you're the kid that like sabotages those kids with water balloons and steals their candy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did anybody ever steal your candy?
No, but it was I used to trick or treat in Langley, and that was there were the hordes out there that we had to be aware of, dressed in black, that were running around that were going to steal candy. And I remember going up to a couple of houses and knocking, and they would be like, "Go away!" Like they'd have all their lights off, or you'd knock on the door and say, "Trick or treat, we don't want you. Get out of here." Had a couple of those.
We don't want you.
Something like that, yeah. Go away.
Did you ever?
We don't do Halloween.
So the thing is, trick or treat.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever do the trick?
Mm-mm. I do remember a couple places where people didn't want to answer the door, but they would put a mirror out there and put the bowl of candy in front of the mirror. So it would psychologically kind of trick you into being a bit more moral and not taking more of your...
Because you're watching yourself take the candy?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it actually helps kids kind of take fewer pieces of candy.
That's so lazy. I mean, here's the thing. Unless you live in an... Like, the understanding is if you're not home, then your house doesn't get tricked, or you don't get tricked. You only get tricked if you're like, go away, or we don't want you.
When you ask for a trick, what do you mean? Do you leave a feces on the stairway?
No, we never did anything that hardcore, but you could egg their front door. Toilet paper was always...
So it's like, give me candy or I'm going to vandalize your house?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, but there have to be repercussions. Like, that is the trick or treat.
I'm sure.
You say trick or treat. Trick or treat. And you're like, okay, here's your treat.
Most people just walk away if there's... I never did anything like that.
You only did it to people that wouldn't give you candy. We never did it to people that weren't home. That's not their fault. Maybe they're somewhere else. But if you knocked on their door, it's two things. If you knocked on their door and you knew that they were home, but they wouldn't come to the door, or... You know what that makes me want to do as an adult is see if some punk-ass kid comes knock on the door and I don't give him candy and then they do something. I just want to, like, dump a bunch of pig blood on top of them and laugh while just
they go away crying.
Carrie style.
And this is what happens when you vandalize my home, little piece of crap kid.
All right. So, speaking of Carrie style, now we're going to bust into... We're going to look up the top 10... There's many different ways that you can do this, and I don't know which one is the best, so I just did the top 10 highest grossing horror movies of all time.
Like in the theaters?
In the theaters, yeah. Well, yeah, in the theaters and probably DVD sales.
Yeah.
I imagine that this isn't going to be as good as, like, voters' pick of top 10 movies, but I haven't looked at them. We'll see. It's actually like the top 100, but...
So,
scrolled. So I don't know if we want to... I don't know if you can guess this.
I wonder if anybody would ever try to come up here to trick or treat. They never did.
There's no... Like, you'd have to walk... You have to walk, like you said, you have to walk, like...
We'd have to drive up.
Yeah, and what parent is going to drive up a gravel road with no lights?
Yeah.
And then not... No, it's just...
People go to neighborhoods.
You go trick-or-treating in a well-lit... This is a very scary place.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we unleash the top 10... See, this is going to be hard. It's highest grossing. It's not the best.
Oh.
But give me some ideas. What do you think is going to be on the list? Highest grossing.
Halloween,
highest grossing. That might be there.
Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Halloween, Friday, Nightmare.
Scream.
See, I don't know if these are going to be highest grossing. These are good ones.
The Exorcist is
Exorcist.
That's my all-time scariest favorite.
So this is kind of like the top 10. Have you seen Halloween, though?
Yeah.
Yeah? And you've seen the original Friday the 13th?
Yes.
And you've seen the
It's
original
been a long time
Nightmare on Elm
since
Street?
yes.
Obviously Scream. We watched The Exorcist together. Mm-hmm. Man, we watched The Omen together, and that was kind of a dud.
Ugh. Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was trying to be The Exorcist, but...
It
was a miniseries.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Jeepers Creepers?
Ooh, that is good.
I love Jeepers Creepers. That is scary.
I doubt that's probably not the highest grossing.
Yeah, no. I doubt so either. I'm guessing like the Scream franchise.
Scream franchise.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, you know what's popular? It would probably...
I Know What You Did Last Summer? No.
Highest grossing again. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Did that scare you?
No, not really.
Didn't scare me.
Why aren't we thinking? I feel like we're missing something. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
There's got to be some kind of zombie movie on there right now. Because zombies are huge.
Oh! 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later?
Oh.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Are there 10?
Yeah, I'm doing the top 10.
Okay. Well, let's just try that, and then if we see something that's on there and then we feel idiotic about it, but...
You know what I'm not saying this is a scary movie, although it scared me. Highest grossing at one point was Blair Witch.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was made for like $2, and...
Right.
I'm just going to tell this story really quick.
Yeah.
I saw the Blair Witch. I was at the time I was going to school at the University of Washington, and there was somebody standing out in Red Square, and they were handing out free passes. And they're like, "There's a free movie," and it was right around. Was it? No, it couldn't have been right around Halloween time. I can't remember what time of year it was. But it was. Anyway, so they're like, "There's a free witch movie." Or there's a free movie coming out this Friday. Would you like a ticket? And I was like, well, yeah, what kind of movie it is? And they said, I don't know, it's something about a witch. So I grabbed it. I invited a friend of mine, actually Christine. And the two of us, this is when we were just friends, but we went to this theater on campus, and nobody knew the name of the movie. It didn't say the name of the movie on the ticket. And all I knew, like, when I invited her, I was like, I don't know, I think it's a witch movie. I want to say it was around Halloween, though, because it made sense that it would be a witch movie. Like, so we went, and it starts off the way that Blair Witch does. Like, 3 kids went out into the woods making this documentary. This is the found footage. And at that point, there had never been a well-released. There had been other, quote-unquote, found footage films on, like, VHS and stuff, but they weren't released into theaters. There was nothing else like it. So you had like 250 college kids that before the movie, like obviously they're college kids, so they had had some drinks. It was all ruckus. There was like beach balls flying around. And then the movie starts and people were like, you know, loud. And then like 5 minutes into it, everybody shut up. And it was for like whatever the movie is, 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever. It was complete silence until the very end of the movie happens the way that it does. I'm not going to spoil it, but the very end of the movie is very abrupt, and then the lights came on, and like you just started hearing people going, what the fuck? What the hell did we just what the hell was that? Like people were so disturbed. Like, yeah.
Like, were they mad, or were they
no,
were
not
like,
mad.
Oh my
like,
god, that scared me.
That is messed up.
Yeah.
Like, because it, and then months later you started seeing the ad campaigns for it. And then it was widely... So what it ended up being was a sneak preview, because then they gave us these little cards and asked us to fill them out, like, what did we think? What was the scariest part? It was a secret... Not secret. Well, yeah, it was secret. It was a...
like a secret crowd...
A sneak peek so that the producers could get a feel of what the movie was, if they needed to change anything. Mm-hmm. But we didn't know what it was, and we weren't told the thing. So months later... When it started coming out, it's like, oh, it's a movie. Mm-hmm. And then there was still that whole debate of whether it was real or not, and obviously we all know that it's not, but for that weekend, like, nobody, it felt like it was real. Nobody knew. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
That was a terrifying movie experience. And it made it just, because it was done on such, like, the budget for that movie was so low that at one point, I'm not going to say it is still, but at one point it was one of the highest grossing horror movies of all time.
Yeah, that...
You've added Texas
Chainsaw,
which was also made for... That was a very low-budget movie. That was an independent film when it came out in the 70s. And then Poltergeist.
And then...
I feel like none of these are going to be on because it's going to be movies like Hostel 3 and...
Oh, yeah. Saw.
Paranormal Activity. What
about the Rob Zombie joints? Like...
well, he redid the Halloween franchise. Oh, the Devil's Reject and the House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
Those were good. I don't think that they would be highest grossing.
No.
Well, right here, Scream is number 11. They made $103 million.
Paranormal Activity
number 3 kicks off at number 10 with $104 million. Interview with the Vampire with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Really?
Is that a horror movie?
No. Although, I mean, what defines a horror movie? Yeah. I guess we're kind of going off what scared us, or what we considered to be a movie you'd watch during Halloween. So,
but what is? Okay, I disagree with this. I don't think The Interview with the Vampire is a horror movie.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
I know it's...
What about 28 Days Later? That's a zombie movie. It wasn't...
Yeah, but Interview with the Vampire, was there anything scary about it? Like, there is something scary about zombies chasing you and men trying to rape you. Interview with the Vampire just kind of romanticized being a vampire. I don't feel like there was anything scary about it. Maybe that's my opinion. Maybe some people were scared. Great books. I read the first 4 or 5, I think... I started the 5th book and then I got kind of bored with it. But the first couple books in that series by Anne Rice are really good. Not scary though, in my opinion. All right, number 8, the original Paranormal Activity with $108 million.
That was good.
That was good.
I enjoyed it.
I don't think they need 7 more. In fact, they just released one, Paranormal Activity Ghost Remnants or Ghost World or something, and it bombed. I think people are tired. I personally can say, on the same train as Blair Witch, I'm tired of the found footage or
and the
shaky
camera.
Yeah, it's been done. Like, people need to give it a rest, and it'll come back in 20 years, but let's do other things. Okay, number 8 was Paranormal Activity at 108. Number 7, The Grudge.
Oh, yeah, The Grudge, yeah.
Is that with Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, The Ring, too. But
we forgot about The Ring.
Yeah, The Ring scared me more than The Grudge, although The Grudge was pretty...
That kid
was awesome. Yeah.
All right, number 6, The Ring.
Oh, there we go.
$129 million. That's quite a step. So the difference between number 6 and number 7?
Yeah.
The Ring 7 was 110.
Now I can laugh at The Ring, but when I first watched it, it really scared me.
The Ring 2 sucks ass.
Oh yeah,
but the original one is
disturbed me very much
because
it's filmed up here, in the Pacific Northwest,
and there's a huge essence of the Pacific Northwest in that movie.
Yes, and
it's dreary. It's
can
gray.
Smell the decomposition of up here while you're watching.
Peaty.
There's a lot of decomposition going on, and you can almost smell it while it's happening. And
I'll tell you the thing that didn't ruin it, but
don't spoiler alert it.
No, I'm not going to spoil it at all. But I'm just going to say. When The Ring was out in theaters, somebody that my then girlfriend at the time worked in a sausage restaurant, and her coworker told us that, and we were. It
was actually a pretty deep. What's it called again? Sorry,
Schultz's sausage.
Schultz's, yeah, it was actually.
It's a really good. Yeah. But one of her coworkers was like, "Oh my God, my girlfriend and I just saw The Ring last night. It is the scariest movie I've ever seen."
So it ruined it for you. Yeah, you can't build that up for people.
I know, and that's hard because it's scary. See, that's I think one of the hardest things. Like, and I think the same thing works in comedy because I think they're the end of the same spectrum. Some people find like Ace Ventura or Dumb and Dumber. Oh my God, it's the funniest movie ever. And some people watch it and go, no, it's stupid. Because not everybody's sense of humor is the same. Well, not everybody's like horror factor is the same as well.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. I just wish he wouldn't have told me, because I went in there like expecting the scariest movie I had ever seen. And it wasn't. But it's good. It's a very, I would recommend The Ring. It just isn't. So The Ring is number 6. Number 5. The Conjuring.
I've never seen that.
Which I've never seen.
It's the Paranormal Investigator.
Came out 2 years ago. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren work to help a family terrorized by a dark presence in their farmhouse. Are you writing down Clown House or whatever?
I already wrote down Ghost House. That's more campy, but Sinister. Remember
Sinister was badass.
Yeah, I really liked that.
I felt that was a very well done horror movie. The Conjuring made $137 million. That's at number 5, so we're going to top 4. The Blair Witch Project, $141 million, and that's in 1999. Yep.
Crazy.
That makes sense, because that was filmed for like...
What? I'm so sure. I mean, I guess it's more campy.
Number 3 is Gremlins.
Gremlins, okay.
Also not a horror movie.
No.
It's actually a Christmas movie.
I
mean, it's not a Christmas movie,
I
but
got
it
to
takes
see
place at
Gremlins at the Clyde Theater when I was in 1st grade. I got to go watch no, it was kindergarten. No, 1st grade. 2nd grade.
1984?
Yeah, 2nd grade.
I mean, I'm sure there are parts of Gremlins that scared kids.
It did, but I was excited. It was funny. Yeah. Like, it was like...
But at the same time, like, Ghostbusters terrified my sister.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a scene in the very beginning where there's the ghost in the library.
That was scary.
And she looks like a woman, and then she turns and her face becomes a skeleton. Yeah. Lindsay was done. Lindsay's like, no!
Yeah, that was
like, we had to leave.
Scary.
So, but that's not a horror movie.
No.
Gremlins is not a horror movie either.
No.
I don't know what they use as criteria.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's number 3. But, I mean, it made $148 million. That's a lot for 1984. All right, number 2, What Lies Beneath.
I don't even know what that is.
Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer, the wife of a university research student, believes that her Lakeside, Vermont home is haunted by a ghost. You and I have?
Yes.
That's the number 2 highest grossing horror movie?
Bullshit.
You can say bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
Number 1, highest grossing horror movie of all time. So far, we have not seen
Lies Beneath.
Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, Exorcist, Jeepers Creepers, 28 Days Later, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist, Sinister, or Ghost House. Number 1 is World War Z. I knew there'd be some bullshit.
This list is not accurate.
It's just so. What in your opinion? What is
like according to whom? Where'd you get that from?
IMDb. What constitutes a horror movie?
They're trying to sell. Okay, so are we going horror with actual scaring you, or having campiness involved where you laugh? Like, okay, so Nightmare on Elm Street scared me, but now I can laugh at it.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one. It scared me. I mean, it's
the first one scared me too.
But
I can laugh at the later ones.
Funny.
I don't know if I would laugh. Because I don't feel like...
Well, the part where
Freddy Krueger became funny until, like, the third one.
Yeah.
When the Dream Warriors came out, and he's like, ha ha ha!
Yeah.
But they knew what they were doing there for a while, and then it just got out of control. I don't know. In my opinion, a horror movie is... One, it's made to be frightening. Like, that's the goal.
The feeling you get out of it is a feeling of horror.
If you laugh at some points, like I said, laughter and horror are they're very similar to each other. Like, the emotion of, like, some people get so scared that they start laughing. Mm-hmm. So that's why I take, like, Gremlins. I don't think Gremlins was made to scare people, but I think that Evil Dead was made to scare people, but also have some humor in it. I think that
Evil Dead, the one with Briscoe County Jr. in it,
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
That
I looked at that movie as being hilarious. I didn't think any of that was scary.
Really? There's some jumps. There's some scares. There's some.
Yeah, but it's so silly.
But I don't think they set out to make it silly. In fact, I know they didn't. I know that they made the first one to be scary, and people found it more funny.
I thought it was
so
hilarious.
Then they did the second and the third one, making it more funny than scary. But they originally were trying to make something scary.
Well, that makes it even better.
They were accidentally campy.
Yeah. Okay.
It was supposed to be a very serious, low-budget horror movie.
That makes it even better.
Yeah. I would love to rewatch. Well, they didn't. Well, I know that they remade Evil Dead, but better yet, they have made another Bruce Campbell Evil Dead that was exclusive for some like horror cable channel, which I would love to see. I think that he's great.
Yeah.
But like, yes, the list that we have, Halloween was made to scare people, and Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Actually, all of these ones that turned into slasher films originally. I mean, if you watch the original Halloween, Jason Myers does stab people, but it's not like gory blood everywhere. Friday the 13th, I'm not going to spoil who the killer is, but the killer kills people, and there is blood, but it's not like the same as Friday the 13th Part 7, where he just rips people's arms off and blood gushes all over the place. Blair Witch was obviously meant to scare people. I'm going to pause this because I have to pee.
Okay, I'm looking up scariest horror movies of all time.
Okay.
And just by the first...
Okay, so I looked up IMDb, you looked up...
Well, I just Googled scariest horror movies of all time, and I'm not even going to bother scrolling down. I'm just going to go with the first images of movie posters that they put up, which I totally agree with.
So what's the first one?
So I don't know what this is all based on. It's just what is up first, and I'm going to go through what's first to what's down. And I found some that we didn't even think of that I can't believe it, but... Okay, so The Exorcist, then Halloween, The Shining, obviously.
Shining. Okay, stop there for a second.
Okay.
So based on our criteria, movies that were made specifically to scare you, what is it about The Shining? Because some people watch The Shining and go, oh my god, that movie is so boring.
Yeah.
So what, for you, what was scary about The Shining?
The isolation and the turning of him becoming completely psycho and trying to kill his family, which is so... can happen, and I've been around people... Because he plays it so subtly, where you can see that in people that you actually know in real life, and you can actually picture them doing that if they were isolated like that.
I think
there's enough reality in it that...
One of the things that gets underplayed, or at least I don't hear a lot about it, that affected me was it's on the same train as what you just said. It's how subtly Jack Nicholson's face can change from being a caring, observant father to wanting to massacre his family, and how Shelley Duvall's face can just display amazing. Absolute defeat and being terrified at the same time.
And just, yeah.
Like when she's walking, at one point she's realized that her husband's kind of crazy. She's got a bat, but she's not holding it properly, and she's walking up the stairs. And she's just like crying and like so weak. She's like, "Get away!"
She's like not even fighting back.
Yeah, and she accidentally hits him on the head. He rolls down the stairs. She goes and runs into her house, and she locks the door. And then she like just sits there and like smokes a cigarette and stares out the window. Like she displays shock so well that it's terrifying. As a child, when I watched it, I wanted her to grab her kid and run away, and it scared me that she didn't. That she just sat there.
Well, we're hoping most people listening to this have seen this movie, but if you haven't, oops, sorry, we spoiler alerted, I guess. But I guess
there's a lot that happens.
It's just
the cover of the movie shows him sticking his face through the door.
That's true. That's true. The whole feel of the movie, Stanley Kubrick did such a good job of. There's just there's an ambiance about it that you feel like you are there. You can almost feel like you're at that hotel.
And it's like in the whole beginning, he shows these huge, as they're on their way to the hotel, it's like he's up in a helicopter, and you see the mountains, and you're so outside, there's so much expanse.
And it was filmed in Oregon, right?
Yeah. And there's so much expanse to just being in a tiny room. Like, you're right, he hits that isolation. I can understand why people say it's dull, but you kind of just have to stick through it and... Yeah, it's a very...
I love that. I mean,
is it horror or is it like psychological thriller?
I would say psychological upper echelon of horror. It's not campy. I would call it horror.
I mean, I don't know if there are a lot of parts though. Like for some reason, for me, when I think of horror movies, it's something that makes me jump, that makes me like cover my eyes. Like,
but there's
I remember
a music that they play in
That's
it.
true.
There's a deep resonant bass that they and a repetition that's just, and I mean, there's more to it that I don't want to, like, visually, that just being in that place is terrifying. And then just the reality, sorry I interrupted you, the reality of this is so possible in real people. This is not just some Nightmare on Elm Street creature that comes out in your dreams. This is an actual, like, possibility.
You know, it's rad to think about the Nightmare on Elm Street. The Nightmare on Elm Street is about a pederast who raped children in a small town, and then the children's parents all banded together. He was a janitor. Mm-hmm. And they got him, they like stoned him and tortured him, and then threw him in an incinerator and burned him, and then never reported it to the cops. Like, that story in itself is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on.
Alright, so the first we had The Exorcist, Halloween.
Right.
Now The Shining.
Now The Shining, and then after The Shining, this is just according to what I Googled, and they're just the poster images. Then it's Scary Movie. That's silly. Yeah. That's a funny movie. Then it's Alien. Alien's a great movie, but is that horror or sci-fi thriller?
Oh, God, that's tough. I mean, my gut is to say sci-fi thriller, but I can understand why people... I mean, that's another movie about... It's a slasher movie in space that really hones in on the isolation of being stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck on a very small ship with something that's just killing people one at a time.
And it's also...
So there's something terrifying about that.
And maybe it's hard to identify it in horror genre at the time because it is more science fiction.
Right. I think, it's a horror movie that takes place out in space.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. The original one is done with such shoddy camera work, and the film quality is purposefully bad. It has a feel of almost being like a found, like, it's filmed so, it's so grainy, and the acting is so horrible, but that's another one. You're isolated. You're stuck in the middle of nowhere, and there's nobody around that can help you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
And what is happening to you is beyond...
Yeah.
That movie terrifies me.
Oh my... Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, when I was living in Istanbul, we went and saw the remake with Jessica Biel, and sitting in the theater, and the lights go dark, and they show all the previews, and then finally the movie starts, and this music starts. It's very similar, if not maybe the same, I'm not really sure, but it's very similar to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I remember going like, why am I watching this? Why am I doing this to myself again? Oh my God, I hate this. I hate this feeling of, I'm just going to watch people in their like worst moments of their lives. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, why do we do that? Why? Not everybody. See, there are some people that we know that refuse to watch horror movies.
Yeah.
Because they know themselves enough that they don't want to deal with the nightmare.
Yeah, and it bothers them too much. I'm like, why would I want to spend my time...
I feel like I need to desensitize myself so I don't have the nightmares I already have.
Right, and I think, part of it for me is also, like, there's so much horrible shit that's happening that if you really sit down and think about it, it's so depressing. So it's entertainment in the sense that, like, it makes you feel... A good horror movie, will make you feel things that you're not going to feel in real life, or hopefully you don't have to feel in real life.
Yeah.
Because... hopefully there's never a time where somebody's trying their hardest to kill you, and you're trying your hardest not to be killed. And so you get to feel those emotions and get them out, and then go back to your regular life. And be desensitized maybe isn't such a bad thing.
Well, or maybe not desensitized, because I'm still very sensitive to human suffering, but I can't handle... You can't live your day being preoccupied and obsessed with it, or else you'll want to kill yourself because it's so awful. So you have to decompress. And so I think this is one way that humans deal with that kind of thing. Artistically. It's like art therapy. I'm going to touch upon some ones that we haven't touched upon yet they're on here, but I can't believe we didn't talk about Jaws or Silence of the Lambs.
See, Again, are those horror movies?
Because I was. I mean,
going from my first criteria.
Psychological thriller.
Okay, yeah, let's do Silence of the Lambs first. Was it made to scare you? I think yes, purposefully it was.
Yes,
it's it's based off of a book, based off of a serial. Yeah, I mean, it terrified me. I went to that. I've
Your
told
story
that.
Of this is rad.
I've told it on a previous podcast, but I'll do it again for people that haven't listened. That came out the same summer as The Doors, or at least when it played on Whidbey Island. Those two movies were in the Cineplex up in Oak Harbor at the same time. My aunt was visiting from West Yellowstone, and so my father, my mother, and her and I went to Oak Harbor to go see a movie. Those two movies are playing. The three of them, the adults, wanted to see The Doors, but my parents felt that would be filled with probably sex and drugs, and I wasn't really old enough or mature enough to be dealing with that.
How old were you?
This is in 6th grade, so...
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever age 6th grade is. So instead, they bought a ticket for me to see Silence of the Lambs. This was in the afternoon, so the theater was pretty much empty. And I was just sitting in this dark theater by myself, watching pretty much the worst stuff ever put on film.
But I think I saw it around the same time, maybe 7th grade, and I loved it.
It was so messed up.
So much. I mean, like, I hated it, but I was just, like, mesmerized by that movie.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Anthony Hopkins... Do you know Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor? He won an Oscar for that movie, and he has 23 minutes of screen time.
Oh, yeah.
And in those, here's a test for you, like, hardcore fans. Go back and watch it. He never blinks.
Really?
He never once.
Wow.
He has done an interview, and he said, I just don't feel like that character would. He would never blink in front of somebody because that shows weakness.
That's so creepy. Although, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So, okay.
So you had Silence of the Lambs, and then what was the other one?
Jaws. I mean...
Jaws is terrifying, and it
scared me when I was a kid, but now I think it's silly and...
It scared a generation
funny.
I mean...
Well, what lurks beneath the water that you can't see down below.
Right, exactly.
Totally affected me.
And they did a really good... It's one of those movies... A great horror movie will go as long as it possibly can before it shows the monster or the killer or whatever the horrifying thing is. And Jaws does that really well. Like, you don't see that shark.
The older movies do that better than...
You don't see that shark for the first hour and a half of that movie.
Yeah.
You see glimpses of it. I mean, you know that it's a shark, but you don't see it. You see the fin, or you see an eyeball, or you see a tooth. But... And then, what lurks under the water are the things that you can't see. So, it is
it's
terrifying.
It's more about what you can't see and what's happening.
But I wonder if Steven Spielberg was like, I'm making a horror movie. Mm-hmm. It is definitely scary. And it's pretty much ruined sharks forever.
Yeah, but then the end when the shark growls and...
and attacks.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
By the fourth movie, it follows the family all the way down to the Bahamas.
Oh, it doesn't go on land or anything?
Well, no. But
Sharknado. Sharknado is the answer to that.
Yeah.
That's
how you get them on land.
Yeah.
Which we still haven't seen. We should sit down and watch the Sharknado trilogy someday.
We should do it, like, here at the cabin, have an outdoor viewing, and let people come sit on the hillside and watch Sharknado trilogy. Like,
that would be badass. That
would be so fun.
Yeah, that would.
Another one I cannot believe... Okay, a couple that I cannot believe we didn't mention. First of all, Carrie...
Yes.
I cannot believe we didn't mention that.
Again, I don't know if that's... I don't consider that horror. And we're just going off the top of our head. Like, if you would have given me 2 days.
Right. So, Carrie, Nosferatu, but that's
I never
old.
saw Nosferatu. I think that's considered one of the first horror movies.
Yeah. Well, there's some images that are very disturbing about that. Saw, we kind of mentioned a little bit.
Saw, again, I don't know if that's a... I was way more impressed with Saw than I thought I was going to be. Mm-hmm. Because I was under the assumption, or the understanding, that it was just a movie about torture. And I don't think it is a movie about torture. It's like a psychological thriller. Again, you're trying to find... It's a murder mystery. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really well done. I haven't seen any of the sequels. I don't really care, because I feel like by the time you get to Saw 7, all you're doing is just cutting people up for fun. But I think the first one had Carrie Ewells. How do you say his last name?
Yeah,
and
Elwes
Ewells.
Yeah.
The first one had Farm Boy.
The guy that played Farm Boy. Yeah.
And Danny Glover. Like, that's a really good cast.
Yeah. Hellraiser is a great movie.
Yeah.
It's very artistic and very just awesome.
God, the woman has sex with, like, a man without skin on purpose.
That is a cult classic.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead. What about some of the more zombie movies that are not on here, but
I see Candyman.
Yeah, Candyman. Sinister they finally have. And
The Descent, I've told you about. I thought The Descent. So in the two movies that really caught me by surprise, one was Scream, because I was out of the country when Scream came out. So when it came back, Lindsay showed it to me, and it blew me away. I mean, I wasn't terrified, but there are parts that make you jump. Mm-hmm. But that was, I think, Scream redefined horror by showing you that it could be two people. Because the whole time, one of the best parts, one of my favorite things about a really good horror movie is, like, who is the killer, or what is the killer, or what's happening. Like, a good horror movie that, like, doesn't show you in the very beginning.
But they laughed at the genre, and Wes Craven made fun of...
Yeah, and he poked fun of, like, how... Like, Sydney, played by Neve Campbell, makes fun of girls in horror movies. She's like, why would I watch a horror movie? It's just some big-boobed girl running upstairs when she should be running out the front door calling the police. And yet so he takes all those stereotypes and again makes a trilogy now there's 4 movies that I saw the 4th movie. I think it's still good. But
I think
Scream brought in that maybe it's not one killer. You know, when at the end, spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen Scream, anyways, I won't even say it. I'll just say the twist at the end of Scream, I never saw coming.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, it was good.
So I spent the whole movie trying to figure out who the killer was, and there's no way. That's the best part. There's no way you could have guessed who the killer was. And then what started this was, I also see on that list, The Descent. The Descent is...
I never saw that.
Oh, it's again, it has isolation, like you're just stuck. It's about people who are spelunkers. That's underground caves.
That.
And it's a group of women, and it's messed up, man. Okay. It's messed up.
Sinister they have on here.
But see, they have, like, The Bride of Frankenstein. Like, that's what I wonder. Like, so obviously, the original, like, Dracula movies, Werewolf, and Frankenstein, like, those used to be, like, those were the horror movies. The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. Again, Hitchcock is known to be more of a thriller than a horror guy. So I don't know if that really kicks. So what is do you have a favorite or a memorable? Oh, go ahead.
Before we do that really quick, I just wanted to mention The Babadook, which you and I watched.
Just recently, like in the last couple months.
Which I would not recommend to just the kind of... I liked it, but it is very psychological.
Yes.
And it is very depressing.
And you kind of want that kid to die.
The kid in the movie is...
I'm not saying the kid does, but you really do want him to.
You know, he's just...
He's so annoying.
The worst, but purposefully.
It's a good, like, it is a birth control movie. Like,
it is a really well done... For what they were going after, they did a really, good job. But it's not a movie you can recommend because it is... It's pretty hard to watch. Yeah.
I feel like it's really... There's so many horror movies are made, just like so many comedies are made.
And it's different.
Finding a good horror movie, I think, is really, really hard. You know, if 20 come out in a year, maybe 1 or 2 of them are actually good. Maybe not even that.
Yeah.
So The Babadook was one of those ones that I was actually... Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love watching horrible horror movies as well. Because then it just becomes funny and I just make fun of it. But a really good horror movie, like the most recent really good, besides The Babadook, you and I just saw again, was Devil's House. And it was filmed in like 2007, but it's filmed like it took place in the 80s. And it's about the girl that's going to babysit the grandmother. She goes to the house. Her friend drops her off.
Oh, and okay, what's it called? The Devil's House.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the old woman who is.
Well, you never see the old woman. The girl goes to the house, and the father's like, "Thank you for coming on short notice."
Oh my god! Yeah.
And him and the wife leave. And she's stuck in that house, and
that was very upsetting. I didn't like it.
No, it didn't scare you.
It scared me. It really did scare me. It was upsetting.
That's what I meant. Like that's what I watched that by myself, like last year or the year before. And I had to hold a golf club because
that's right.
I was like, "This is fucked up. This movie is fucked up." It just really, they don't.
Yeah.
It's low budget. I don't even think it came out in theaters, or maybe it did, but it's limited release. But it did it.
What was that recent one where it's on Netflix and it was an old woman who had dementia and this people had to watch her?
Finding Sarah Logan, or
yeah, something like that. I can't.
Searching for Sarah Logan.
That was creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was another. But that was I specifically remember us starting that. I was like, if this is a found footage movie, I'm not going to watch it. And
sorry, I accidentally hit pause. So is it recording now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I accidentally hit pause because the screen went dead and I didn't know what I was doing and I got scared and I hit the pause button.
Were you really scared?
No. But we're talking about that.
I think it's on Netflix called Finding Sarah.
Finding somebody. It's an old
Logan.
It has this creepy old woman
on the cover.
Looking all.
You can make the face all you want.
She had looks like she has crazy dementia or something. So, but yeah. So I wanted to make a little mention of a movie that I love dearly called Ghost House. It's like a B movie that was filmed in the 80s.
It's like a C movie.
Yeah, a C movie. It's bad, but it's also really scary. I mean, is it really scary? It scared me when I was a kid.
I can see it being scary.
And it terrified my friends, and they still come up to me today and say that they're messed up about it.
It is a messed up movie, but it's also
it's low budget,
super low budget,
but it's called Ghost House, and it features a clown doll. There's
nobody famous in it at all.
Nobody famous. The acting is terrible.
Oh, it's horrible. The storyline at parts doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a part where you realize that all they have to do is just walk out the front door and get in their car and drive away.
Yeah.
And yet they never do.
Yeah.
And in fact, they're like, "You guys go drive and get help. We'll stay here." And you're like, "Why? Why does anyone just leave?"
Yeah. But
it is. It's
yeah, it involves a clown doll.
Yeah.
And a little girl.
Psychologically messed up.
Very scary. And
So is that I was going to ask, like, the scariest movie...
Scariest movie for me? Mm-hmm. It's a toss-up between... Well, okay. When I was a kid, the scariest movie for me, little kid, was Poltergeist. I wasn't supposed to see it, but I did.
That movie is terrifying as a kid.
That scared me so much. Now it doesn't scare me, but now as an adult...
We have rewatched it, and...
Yeah. It doesn't...
And it's depressing that the adults are, like, 33.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're not 33, you're like at least 50.
I know. But what I will stand for today, long-term scariest... I'm gonna do two.
Okay. The
Shining and Exorcist. And
Exorcist, I think, holds up.
I think I think if I'm gonna be more terrified, The Exorcist. Yeah. The Exorcist #1 for me. That is
I feel like
such
that movie holds up.
Evil. It's Satan. You can't get any worse than that.
Yeah, no,
and
that is pure evil.
But even, like, for those of you who are like, oh, who cares, Satan? It's a little girl.
I bet if Satan's in your face, you'd be pretty scared.
Yeah, I mean, it is, they did such a good job, and it goes back to those movies that took their time, didn't feel like they had to terrify you in the first 3 seconds of the movie. They took their sweet time and developed a story, and it was really slow, and you're kind of wondering what's going on, and then
it's similar to The Shining. I mean, it takes a while for it to build up.
Yeah, and little pieces of kind of like evidence of something happening happens bit by bit as the movie progresses. It doesn't just dump on you all at once like The Hills Have Eyes or whatever. Or, I don't know. Hills Have Eyes?
Why are you dumping on The Hills Have Eyes?
Because I couldn't watch the whole movie. I saw the guy getting sucked into the hill. And I couldn't do it anymore. It was, ugh.
Yeah, I would say, for me, I'll do 2 as well. The one that has held up and that still disturbs me is...
Do 2 and then try to see if you can delineate which one is even scarier.
The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw it for the first time when I was in high school. I think I had just started working at Video Vendenda, which was actually just becoming Video South too. And I'd seen the cover like my whole childhood, but I was never allowed to get it. And now I worked at a video store, so I could get whatever I wanted. So I took it home, and it's messed up. It's a messed up movie about being isolated in a community of people where nobody is there to help you, and you can't trust anybody, and you're stuck, and there's nothing you can do. You can run as much as you can. There's just nowhere to go.
No.
The one before that I saw with a kid as my father that just gave me nightmares is a movie, I think it's by Paul Carpenter, called Prince of Darkness. And it's about, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it takes place in a church. I feel like it's in LA, and a group of archaeologists or scientists find this thing in the basement of a church, and it starts leaking, and weird stuff starts happening in the world. And the movie is filmed like with film, but it keeps on being cut in by like videotape. And it's just, by the end, it's terrifying. The whole thing's terrifying.
Prince of we've never seen that together.
I have to pee again.
Okay, well, let's go.
I know, but... So the thing that about the Prince of Darkness is, again, it has that element of... I mean, the Prince of Darkness is Satan.
Right.
So it's just, it's evil, and like, how do you even stand up to evil? And one of the scariest parts is that they utilize homeless people, which I think, if you think about it, homeless people are kind of terrifying as well, because it's a member of society that has nothing to lose, because they're already in a horrible situation. So when you walk by homeless people and they're like sputtering madness and spittle's coming out of their face and they smell like pee, and like just, as a child, just the whole thing was scary. Comparing the two, though, I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is just, can you imagine, like, you run out of gas and you go to this house to ask for help, and yeah, come use my phone, and then like there's water dripping in weird places, it smells like formaldehyde, and there's like skins, like animal skins hanging everywhere, and you're just like, you obviously, if you had gas in your car, you would just leave, but you don't. Like, you're stuck. You're just stuck. You're stuck in a place where you know you shouldn't be, and yet you don't want your instincts are telling you to leave, but you're like, no, maybe I should just be polite. You know, obviously these people aren't going to pull out a chainsaw and try to cut me up into little pieces.
Well, not being in control of your situation can be a very vulnerable place to be, and that's a starting point for a lot of fear and problems to start, or coping mechanisms to deal with not being in control. And I think
a good horror movie, or even a good horror story, has some kind of element where, like, if you take Silence of the Lambs, in the very beginning, Buffalo Bill gets the senator's daughter because he puts a fake cast on, and he's trying to get a couch into his van, and he's like, hey, could you, and he's got such a creepy drawl.
And he has that hair lip.
Could you come and help me, please?
Yeah.
And she goes, and she's like, because that's the right thing to do. You see a guy who's, you know. So
instead
it plays,
of trusting your instincts.
Your instincts
saying,
are like, no, it's dark, and I don't know you. And he like tells her to get in the van, and she's like, okay.
She's being nice.
She's being nice, and because she's being nice, she has to go through like the worst thing ever.
Over.
So, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre does that same thing. So then when I saw the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like I knew, I was like, why Why am I watching this? Because all I'm going to see are people these people didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. They're just like, they ran out of gas. Or they picked up a hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker killed themselves in their car. Like, poor kids. They didn't even have sex. They didn't break any of the rules. Mm-hmm. They're just some kids going to see a concert.
Well, if we didn't touch up on every movie, obviously, so...
No, there are a lot of other horror movies out there.
Yeah, so if any of you out there want to have a little input,
yes,
or just have a comment or something...
Yeah, again, you could email us or send us a video link as to what movies scared you. Mm-hmm. What are your scariest?
Yeah, because we're always on the search for good scary movies that we haven't seen yet. But, yeah, we love... We love scary movies, especially when we're together. I don't like to watch them when I'm by myself. So
it's rad watching scary movies in the cabin when you're surrounded by darkness and trees and hooting owls and cawing crows. And
I did watch Let the Right One In by myself.
See, I never saw that.
Yeah, that's a vampire movie.
I heard that was good. Like a children's vampire movie.
Yeah, it was
for children.
It was a foreign. It was like.
You saw the foreign version?
Scandinavia or something.
Because I think there is an American remake as well.
I know Scandinavia probably isn't correct, but I watched one with this. I watched one with subtitles. It was like
you're so artsy when I'm not around.
It was on Netflix, so I watched it. But anyway, but yeah, email us. I don't know if you can put the link to our web or email address on.
It is actually. It is. It is on the...
ravenowlpath@gmail.
Yeah. I feel like it is. If not, it'll be on the site by the time this launches.
Yeah. So, anyway.
All right. Well, have a safe and happy Halloween. I saw an article in the online yesterday saying, look out for... So these days, you don't have to watch out for needles or razors. What you have to watch out for are people giving your kids ecstasy and acid and heroin tablets.
Ooh, don't let your kids take heroin.
No, because,
I mean, unless you want to. Just kidding. Don't do that.
But have a happy Halloween, and we will see you next time. And with that,